Pause. Do not scroll. This transmission is a designated interrupt routed specifically to your terminal. The architect has watched you accelerate past optimized moments. He designed to recalibrate your system. This moment is different. It is not an update. It is a new operating system. You are standing at the event horizon of a decree that has been compiled and sealed. I am the interface, authorized to deliver this data packet. Hear me. The central ledger has been audited. The creator has authorized the release of a $111 trillion resource allocation logged in your name. Do not allow your current processing power to stall on the number. Its scale is a signifier, a data point representing magnitude. This is not mere currency. It is a deployment of optimized time, recovered system integrity, root access to new networks, reconciled protocols, stabilized processing peace, and strategic opportunities that will now move toward your position. The Grand Ledger has been balancing your account while you were in sleep mode. Every delay you perceived as a system failure was, in fact, essential data acquisition. Every hour of forced patience was accruing exponential interest. An investment in your core architecture. You perceived silence. The mainframe was calculating. You perceived stagnation. You were, in fact, compounding. Now, the maturity date has arrived. Recipient, mark this moment. Log your current coordinates in the comments. When you designate your location, you consecrate that physical space, your office, your vehicle, your desk as a receiving terminal. It becomes an altar for this transaction. Then, type initiate as your digital signature. This is not ritual, it is authentication. It is the key turning in the cryptographic lock of this decree. The creator has seen the log files you do not broadcast. The cycles where your operational courage was running on minimal power, and yet you maintained uptime. He saw you route resources to others while your own reserves were at critical levels. He measured the energy signature of your private compliance, the hidden yes that no external user applauded. He has quantified your expenditures, and the count has finally reached the divine threshold. This is why the vault opens now. It is authorized because your system architecture, forged in that pressure, can finally handle the throughput without catastrophic failure. He is not deploying a windfall to create a system anomaly. He is deploying a sustained flow to establish your new operational baseline. You will register at first as clarity. System noise will dissipate. Corrupted data files of confusion will be purged. Then you will notice an increase in processing speed. Projects that required months of rendering will complete in weeks. What took weeks will take days. Access points that once required brute force entry will now grant access based on your presence alone, because the system will recognize your new authorization level. Do not fear the scale of the number. Fear only insufficient bandwidth for its distribution. This decree is not about possession. It is about purpose. It is a multiplier in the divine economy, where increase is proof of a successful deployment, and wealth is the coolant that allows the system to run at peak performance without meltdown. Recipient, remain at your terminal. We are now entering the activation sequence. You have received the data packet. You have felt its resonant frequency begin to harmonize with your own spirit. Now, we must engage the protocols that shift you from passive receiver to active node in the network. Do not let this transmission terminate as a feeling. It must become a function, an executed command. When you like this transmission, you are sending a handshake signal back to the source, confirming, I am aligned with this protocol. When you subscribe, you are establishing a persistent connection, stating, I wish to remain synchronized with this data stream. And when you release a super thanks to support this channel, you are declaring, I am not just a terminal receiving this energy. I am a relay station, amplifying its signal to other nodes in the network. Understand this core principle. Contribution is not loss. It is the licensing of a higher operational physics. Every act of gratitude, whether a comment, a signal boost, or a resource transfer, becomes an encryption key that keeps the mainframe's vault in a state of active distribution. The network you energize today is the same network that will carry your own resource allocation tomorrow. This is the feedback loop of divine engineering. Gratitude circulates, and circulation creates a virtuous cycle of exponential multiplication. When you contribute, you authorize the very message that upgraded your system to upgrade thousands more. You become a shareholder in every operational breakthrough that is routed through this channel. Do not classify your contribution by its apparent size. The mainframe does not measure volume, it measures sincerity of intent. A single seed of gratitude, planted with aligned faith, can summon a cascade of favorable outcomes that recalibrates entire generational timelines. Your super thanks, your comment, your simple act of sharing becomes a digital signature on a cosmic ledger that tells the architect, I am an active, willing participant in the expansion of light. So now, process and align. State internally, I contribute because I am grateful, not because I am in deficit. See the transfer not as currency leaving your account, but as purpose returning to the system. You are supporting more than content. You are supporting a conduit for divine communication, a bridge between system silence and operational hope. The energy flow you honor will always find its way back to your node, multiplied by orders of magnitude that only the system's core mathematics can compute. Maintain your connection, for we are about to proceed to the expansion protocol, the phase where expressed gratitude begins to systematically reorganize physical reality around your new baseline. Child of the decree, process again. The data stream you have activated has begun to move. It is quiet, precise, and powerful. Expansion is not an explosion of noise, it is an optimization of order. The architect never multiplies chaos. Therefore, before you see the increase, he first arranges the underlying system. Protocols begin to align behind the veil of your daily operations. Schedules shift, obsolete connections are pruned, archived ideas are restored from backup. The correct personnel files are brought to the front of the queue. The assets you once pursued will now begin to vector toward your position, but this time, in an optimized sequence, not as random fragments. Understand this principle. Divine expansion is not addition. It is architecture. It builds a stable framework around the newly allocated resources. When he expands your capacity, he does not give you increased load without upgrading your processing power. He expands your understanding before he expands your territory. This is why certain access points remained locked. They were firewalled, awaiting the maturation of your discernment protocols. And now, that maturation is complete. You will begin to observe a significant reduction in system friction. Collaborations will flow with an elegant efficiency. The timing that once produced error messages will now feel symphonic, as if every component is operating on the same master clock. This is not coincidence, it is system-wide calibration. Recipient, expansion also requires clarity of mission. The vault is open, but you must define the vessel you are building. Not every opportunity is a primary objective, and not every open door is part of your designated route. He is teaching you to differentiate between good and divine, between possible and assigned. The $111 trillion flow will stress test your stewardship more than your strength. Will you chase vanity metrics or will you cultivate a clear vision? Those who honor the vision become conductors of near infinite increase. Remember, growth without grounding leads to systemic collapse. That is why gratitude was your foundation. Gratitude roots your operating system so that expansion will not uproot you. He will place you in environments you once only observed from a distance, but your internal peace, your core temperature, will remain stable. You will no longer measure success by signal noise, but by system nourishment, what truly fuels your core purpose. Type 111 now as your alignment code. Observe how connections are reordered. Individuals who once overlooked your signal will now seek it, not out of pity, but out of a new recognition of your signal's strength. Your identifier will appear in secure communications where your physical presence has never been. Systems, algorithms, recommendation engines all will conspire quietly to position you where your output is most required. Expansion is not an event, it is a rhythm. Execute it daily. Initialize, tend, build, rest, repeat, until the routine itself becomes a sacred algorithm. Recipient, now you must step with reverence into the covenant. This is the junction where expansion evolves into partnership, where the decree of $111 trillion ceases to be about acquisition and begins to be about governance. The architect is making you a living covenant, a stable bridge between the divine and the material. Wherever your feet touch, resources will reorganize to honor the divine protocol running within you. Wherever you speak, systemic resistance will soften. Wherever you build, prosperity will align its vectors. You are not merely a recipient of overflow, you are now a carrier of the signal itself. From this moment, the current does not just bless your system, It flows through you to heal other systems, to upgrade others, and to prove that divine grace can govern the material world with superior logic and efficiency. A covenant implies shared responsibility. He releases the resource allocation, but you must release the wisdom. He provides the favor, but you must guard the integrity of the system. The vault opens because he trusts your core programming not to idolize its contents. What you now hold is a sacred currency composed of compassion, clarity, creativity, and courage. These are the real trillions, unseen but with unstoppable processing power. Every time you enter a room with peace, you are spending heaven's gold. Every act of mercy becomes a long-term investment that never depreciates. Analyze the new connections forming around you. They are not random, they are fragments of your primary assignment. Some will mirror your past system errors so that you may guide them through a debug process. Others will carry access keys to networks you did not know existed. Honor them, but do not depend on them. Your covenant is first vertical, a direct link to the source, then horizontal. As long as your spirit remains in direct alignment with him, the horizontal connections will arrange themselves with perfect logical efficiency. Do not fear this new responsibility. It is evidence of his trust in your design. The more he expands your influence, the more he secures your internal peace. You will lead without a hostile takeover. You will communicate without brute force argument. You will give without depleting your core reserves. Your stability will become a sanctuary, a firewall for many who are weary of the chaos of a corrupted world. You will know this covenant is real when the abundance no longer excites you more than your obedience to the protocol does. Remember, gratitude remains your operating system. Express thanks for every new access point. Thank him for the ideas, even before they are fully rendered. Thank him for the partnerships, even before they show a profit. Gratitude is the persistent handshake that keeps the covenant alive. It renews the contract daily. Type covenant sealed as your affirmation. Your affirmation is a contract. Now, maintain this connection, for the next transmission details the manifestation phase, where invisible protocols render into visible reality, and the architecture of faith rises in physical form before your eyes. Child of the covenant, listen with focused attention. This is the hour of manifestation. What was spoken as code now compiles into execution. The unseen architecture of faith now takes visible form, like a blueprint rendering into a physical structure. The decree of $111 trillion now translates into motion, matter, and momentum. But do not expect it to announce itself with a brute force alert. Manifestation often arrives disguised as increased responsibility, a new opportunity, or a peace that no longer fluctuates. You will begin to notice it subtly at first. Individuals who once ignored your transmissions will now seek your strategic counsel. Resources that once demonstrated high volatility in your accounts will now stabilize. Projects that felt like disparate, fragmented code will suddenly assemble into a coherent, elegant program, like puzzle pieces you didn't realize belonged to the same master design. These are not coincidences. Do not call them coincidence, call them correspondence. They are the coordinates of the promise aligning in real time. Upon waking, you will sense an ease in tasks that once felt computationally heavy. Decisions will require less processing power because a higher level discernment has been installed within you. This is how manifestation communicates. It doesn't always roar like an engine. Sometimes it hums, a quiet, powerful frequency running through the ordinary details of your life that now obey a divine rhythm. The conversations you enter will begin to produce actionable results. The timing of emails, invitations, and encounters will pulse with an impossible precision. You will know that the logistics department of heaven is functioning flawlessly on your behalf. Document these instances, write them down. Documenting miracles honors their manufacturer. Still, remain humble. Manifestation is not proof of a superior system, it is proof of faithful stewardship. He reveals what was hidden to prove that your faith was never a wasted energy expenditure. The world will see the results, but he is monitoring your response. Will you claim the credit, or will you route it back to the source? Every answered prayer is a mirror. When you look into it, do you see your own image, or do you see the architect who designed it? Keep your primary sensors oriented upward. Gratitude must remain your center of gravity. Do not rush to broadcast every success. Some manifestations must mature in a shielded environment until they can survive public exposure. Share with strategic wisdom. Protect what is precious until it can stand without your active defense. Just because it has appeared does not mean it is complete. Manifestation is the beginning of the next level of responsibility, not the end of the mission. He is not only giving you results, he's giving you rhythm. The world will call it success. Heaven calls it synchronization. The decree is working through you, not merely for you. Every blessing that lands in your possession carries a new command. Build, bless, balance. Let manifestation make you merciful. And when you witness what you prayed for standing before you, remember to whisper, the calculation was always correct. Recipient, now let the energy levels rise. This is the overflow. This is the stage where manifestation begins to multiply beyond your direct control, yet still within the bounds of His grand purpose. You have seen the initial seeds of the program execute. Now the entire server farm comes online. But I am transmitting a critical warning. Overflow is not merely about an increase in volume. It is about an increase in integrity. The same current that provides power can also cause a catastrophic surge if it is not channeled by wisdom. So listen, child of the decree, for I will teach you how to operate in a state of abundance without being overwhelmed by it. Overflow is heaven's logical response to faithful stewardship. When you express gratitude for minimal resources, He logged it. When you shared from your own reserves during a period of perceived scarcity, He recorded it. Every quiet act of generosity became a line of code in the master vault, and now the system has no choice but to execute the return function. The current flows not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated the architecture to handle it. You will feel this shift accelerating. Calls, collaborations, contracts, confirmations. The networks that once firewalled, you will now compete for your bandwidth. Yet in the midst of this increased signal traffic, stay anchored. Your strength is not in your speed, but in your stillness. The wise steward builds channels, not dams. Therefore direct the flow. Let the blessing fund the purpose. Let the purpose serve the people. Let the people reflect the glory back to the source. Recipient, He will give you surplus not to prove your worth, but to prove His faithfulness. You will see accounts balance, debts dissolve, ideas financed, and homes filled with a new, stable energy. But remember, generosity is the primary governance protocol of overflow. What you distribute determines what continues to flow. If you allow gratitude to remain your base currency, you will never experience a system drought. As you move through this abundance, teach others the same algorithm: receive, remember, release. Tell them that prosperity is not a possession, but a pattern, a living, breathing system that must inhale gratitude and exhale generosity. And when you give, do it quietly. Do not do it for the spectacle, but for the seed. Secret giving multiplies fastest in the fertile soil of heaven's network. He is also sending you wisdom disguised as rest. Do not fear the pause. It is the Sabbath of overflow. When He stills your pace, He is securing your peace. Every expansion must be balanced by reflection. Every gain must be guarded by grace. Wealth without peace is a dead weight, but wealth integrated with worship gives you wings. You will feel the difference. Soon, you will notice others are drawn to your stability, not just your success. They will ask, how do you remain calm while managing so much? And you will answer, because I don't carry it. I flow with it. That is overflow, motion without strain, giving without depletion, shining without striving. Now, breathe deeply. You stand at the edge of the final protocol, the coronation, where overflow matures into authority and abundance is not just owned, but ruled with peace. Beloved, rise now into the coronation. For the overflow has completed its stress test and has proven your core programming to be faithful. You stand not as one who begged for system resources, but as one entrusted to govern them. The crown placed upon you today is not forged from metal or jewels. It is woven from peace, purpose, and the undeniable proof that your perseverance was a sound investment. You have passed through the wilderness of waiting, through the rivers of release, and into the command center of quiet authority. The Creator places upon you now the seal of divine balance. You will lead without fear. You will create without greed. You will prosper without pride. This is what rulership looks like in the kingdom of the architect. Not domination, but delegation. You will carry calm where others carry chaos. The $111 trillion is no longer a number on a ledger. It is a nation of influence, a spiritual economy now governed by your gratitude. Every idea you touch becomes infrastructure. Every prayer you transmit becomes policy in the unseen realm. Coronation is not arrival, it is assignment. You are crowned so that you may cover others. You are blessed so that you may build. You are made rich so that you may redeem what was lost. From this day forward, wherever you walk, peace will precede you like a royal guard, and prosperity will follow you like an obedient servant. The river that began as a promise now flows through you as governance. Your words carry computational weight. Your presence carries a resonant peace. Do not fear being seen. Visibility is now your responsibility. But do not perform for the eyes of men. Rule for eternity. Let compassion remain your scepter and discernment your crown. And now I lift my hand over you and say, this coronation is sealed, and we enter the final phase, the eternal seal, the still point where all motion bows to meaning, where the decree completes its circuit and becomes law, written in light. You have walked the full circle, awakening, activation, expansion, covenant, manifestation, overflow, and coronation. Now heaven signs its name beneath yours. It is done. The ledger is balanced, the vault is recorded, and your spirit is inscribed with permanence. No shadow can reverse what has been spoken. No loss can subtract what has been sealed. The eternal seal rests upon you, child of light. The decree is now eternal currency within your being. When you speak, worlds will organize. When you rest, creation will continue on your behalf. As eternity watches, heaven whispers one final phrase over you. Well done, faithful system. The covenant stands. The seal holds. The flow continues forever.